The city was already dying when the sniper decided it belonged to her. On the morning of October 15, 1942, as a grey fog hung low over the shattered streets of Stalingrad, a single rifle shot echoed between broken walls. One Soviet soldier dropped without a sound, then another, then another. No one saw where the shots came from. No muzzle flash, no movement, just death arriving on time, every time. Within days, whispers spread through the ruins. There was a German sniper who moved like a ghost. If you want more content like this, subscribe now and comment below. Some said she never missed. Some said she had already killed more men than a machine gun crew in a week. And soon, many Red Army soldiers believed something worse. They believed she owned the city. Stalingrad in October 1942 was not a city anymore. It was a graveyard made of brick dust and twisted steel. Entire apartment blocks had collapsed into themselves. Factories burned day and night. The Volga River still flowed on the eastern edge, carrying wounded men and supplies under constant artillery fire. The German Sixth Army, commanded by General Friedrich Paulus, had pushed deep into the city after months of fighting. The Soviet 62nd Army, under Lieutenant General Vasily Zaitsev, was clinging to a narrow strip of land along the river. In some places, the distance between German and Soviet positions was less than 20 meters. This was not a battle of movement. It was a battle of endurance. In this kind of fighting, snipers became more important than tanks. Heavy armor could not move through rubble-choked streets. Artillery often risked hitting friendly troops. But a sniper could operate alone, hidden, and strike without warning. Both sides understood this. By the fall of 1942, Stalingrad had become a sniper's battlefield. Every shattered window was a threat. Every shadow could hide death. The German sniper appeared near the city centre, close to Red Square and the destroyed Univermag department store, which had already changed hands several times. Soviet after-action reports from the 284th Rifle Division noted a sudden increase in single-shot casualties between 0600 and 0900 hours. The wounds were precise. Headshots, upper chest, no wasted ammunition. This was not random fire. This was deliberate hunting. By October 18th, at least 20 confirmed deaths were attributed to the same shooter. Soldiers began to refuse certain routes. Some delayed orders. Fear was spreading faster than bullets. Among the troops, rumours grew larger than the truth. Some claimed the sniper watched the streets for days without moving. Others said she fired only when officers appeared. The nickname "the Widow" spread quickly. It was not official, but it stuck. Each time a man failed to return from a short run across open ground, her legend grew stronger. Morale suffered, and in Stalingrad, morale was as valuable as ammunition. German sniper doctrine at the time emphasized patience and psychological pressure. Records from the sniper training school in Zossen show that selected marksmen were trained to operate independently, sometimes without direct supervision. A small number of female snipers were trained in Germany before the war, though they were rarely deployed to frontline assault units. Soviet intelligence intercepted fragmented radio messages referring to a female specialist operating in the Central District. Her rank was believed to be Obergefreiter, attached to an infantry regiment of the Sixth Army. Her name remains unknown, but her presence was real enough to be feared. She chose her firing positions with skill. Upper floors of ruined buildings gave her elevation. Collapsed walls provided natural camouflage. She avoided firing through glass to prevent reflections. She changed positions regularly, sometimes crawling through debris for hours. Her rifle, a carabiner 98K with a telescopic sight, was accurate and well maintained. But her greatest weapon was discipline. She waited for routine, soldiers fetching water, messengers crossing intersections, junior officers giving hand signals. She understood patterns, and she exploited them. By October 20th, the impact on Soviet operations became serious. Supply runners avoided daylight. Wounded men lay longer before being evacuated. Chwikov later wrote that sniper activity in the city centre restricted movement and crushed initiative. One unseen shooter was tying down entire platoons. This was exactly the effect the German command hoped for. In a battle where every metre mattered, hesitation could be fatal. But Stalingrad was producing its own specialists. His name was Senior Sergeant Vasily Grigorievich Zaitsev. Zaitsev was born on March 23, 1915, in the village of Yeleninskoye in the Ural region. As a boy, he hunted with his grandfather, learning how to track animals and wait silently for hours. These skills followed him into military service. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union on June 22, 1941, Zaitsev volunteered for the Red Army. He served first in the Pacific Fleet, then was transferred west. In September 1942, he crossed the Volga into Stalingrad under heavy fire. At first, Zaitsev fought as a regular infantryman. He carried a Mosin Nagant rifle and grenades, fighting in close quarters like everyone else. But his commanders soon noticed his calm under fire and his accuracy. By early October, he was assigned as a sniper. Within days, his kill count rose. More importantly, he began to think like a hunter again. When reports of the German sniper reached Zaitsev's sector, he studied the situation carefully. He inspected the fallen soldiers. He measured angles. He listened to witnesses. What stood out was not just the accuracy, but the timing. The sniper fired during moments of routine, not during chaos. That meant careful observation, confidence, and a belief that no one could challenge her. Zaitsev decided that belief had to be broken. On October 21, 1942, shortly after first light, Zaitsev moved into the contested zone near the Red October factory. With him was Private Nikolai Kulikov, an experienced spotter armed with binoculars and a PPSH-41 submachine gun. They moved slowly, staying low, using shell craters and debris for cover. They did not fire. They observed. Zaitsev knew that the worst mistake a sniper could make was impatience. The German sniper did not fire that morning. That absence was meaningful. She was watching too, likely aware that something had changed. A hunter recognizes another hunter. For the next 3 days, the area remained eerily quiet. No shots, no sudden deaths. Both sides were probing without firing, testing reactions. On October 24th, at approximately 07:15 hours, a Soviet runner collapsed near a damaged tram line. 1 shot. Instant death. Zaitsev noted the sound and echo. He traced the likely direction. He reduced the possible firing positions to a small cluster of ruined buildings near the Univermarkt. Still, he waited. The duel that followed was slow and mentally exhausting. Zaitsev and Kulikov adjusted their position only by inches. They used scraps of cloth to mark distances, broken bricks to test visibility. At one point, Zaitsev lifted his steel helmet on a stick above cover. A shot cracked immediately, punching cleanly through the helmet. The reaction was fast and confident. That told Zaitsev everything he needed to know. She was close, and she was certain of herself. On October 26th, the weather shifted. The fog lifted earlier than usual, and sunlight struck the ruins at a sharp angle. Light reveals things darkness hides. Zaitsev noticed a faint glint behind a bent sheet of metal on the 3rd floor of a ruined building. It was brief, almost nothing, too small to be a scope reflection, possibly a finger or part of the rifle bolt catching the sun. He did not fire. He memorized it. Hours passed. The cold settled deep into muscles and joints. Kulikov whispered that his hands were going numb. Zaitsev remained still. At around 11:40 hours, a German officer stepped into open ground, clearly visible, standing too calmly for such a dangerous area. Zaitsev knew it was a lure, a test. A sniper who uses a lure must watch carefully to see if it works. Zaitsev shifted his aim. not toward the officer, but toward the shadow behind the twisted metal. He waited until the officer paused, until the hidden sniper leaned forward slightly to observe. Then Zaitsev fired once. The bullet struck cleanly through the eye. The body behind the metal collapsed backward, out of sight. The officer ran for cover, unharmed. Silence returned to the street. Zaitsev and Kulikov did not move. They waited another full hour, watching for any sign of return fire. When nothing came, they advanced carefully. By mid-afternoon, they reached the building. Inside, among dust and broken concrete, they found the body of the German sniper. She was young, likely no older than 25. Her carabiner 98K lay beside her, carefully maintained. The rifle stock bore multiple carved marks, each one believed to represent a confirmed kill. Zaitsev did not celebrate. He studied her position instead, the angles, the cover, the patience it required. Later, he described her as disciplined and dangerous, a professional. Respect did not change the outcome, but it mattered. The effect on Soviet troops was immediate. Within 2 days, movement in the area resumed. Runners crossed open streets again. Officers moved with more confidence. The fear that had frozen the sector loosened its grip. German sniper activity in the central district dropped sharply after October 26th. Whether her death caused it or simply marked a tactical shift is still debated. But among the men of the 62nd Army, the meaning was clear. The threat had been answered. Zaitsev continued fighting through the winter. By the end of the Battle of Stalingrad in February 1943, he was credited with 225 confirmed kills, including 11 enemy snipers. More importantly, he trained dozens of others. These men formed sniper teams that operated throughout the city, turning German tactics against them. The Germans later referred to this as sniper terror. After the war, Vasily Zaitsev survived despite serious injuries. He lived until 1991, long enough to see Stalingrad renamed Volgograd and rebuilt from ruins. The buildings where the duel took place no longer exist. Streets were cleared. New structures rose. But the lesson of those days remains. Stalingrad never belonged to one person, not to a sniper, not to an army. It belonged to the men who learned its ruins, who endured hunger, cold, and fear without leaving. The German sniper believed control came from dominance and fear. Zaitsev proved that control came from patience, discipline, and knowing when to wait. In war, the loudest battles are not always the most important. Sometimes the fate of a city turns on silence, on stillness, and on a single shot fired at exactly the right moment by a soldier who refused to rush. If you want more content like this, subscribe now and comment below.